Hi, everyone. This is James Patrick from the Forum Celebrity Podcast. I'm Florence, Carmela, and I wanted to do a quick thing on Alec Baldwin. I know the holidays are here and everybody's been really busy, especially that 2020 special. I don't think many people watched it, but boy, the ratings have not exactly been over the moon. So we wanted to talk about it. So let's get right into it now. First few things, Alec Baldwin did get in a run-in with John Levine from the New York Post. He asked some questions about him. I guess Alec's been visiting Woody Allen for a while. Insert joke there. But the thing is that he was there, asked about it. Instead of walking away, he confronted the reporter. And what the funniest part is, he grabbed this umbrella, went after the reporter. He looked like Burgess Meredith in the old Batman series. It was so funny. But they finally went in. Another thing that happened was Hilaria, his wife, and I didn't know there was such a age difference. Wow, 55 to 28, I think it is. Woof, when they got married. I'm sure it was, they had so much in common. But anyway, she said that when she was giving birth, he was in the birthing room on the phone because he's so important. And he told her to be quiet. Here she is, I'm in pain, all this stuff. He goes, shush, I'm on the phone. Are you kidding me? But this is brutal. But anyway, also there was a letter by the crew that the crew wrote. And all the crew had their names in the bottom, and the set was amazing. Russ was amazing. It was safe. We weren't overworked. Blah 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 blah. Then they said we weren't influenced by the producers or the directors or any of the investors of Rust. Who's the one that put out the letter? One of the producers, Alec Baldwin. Oh my God. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, Alec Baldwin puts it out all over Instagram. It's a 2-part letter. It just cracks me up. I mean, I know these guys want to keep their jobs. I know these guys want to keep in good with studios and investors and everybody for the future. I get why they put out this letter, but it just seems so funny. Another thing that happened, a judge ordered Dave Halls to speak to OSHA investigators. That's a huge deal because the more he speaks to investigators of other investigations, the more they could use that in a criminal case. He wanted to wait until the criminal charges were brought out by the New Mexico police, and they said, no, you got to go right now. So what he says now can be used against him. And that is a horrible loss for Dave Halls. Rumor have it is that he's not the most nicest guy. He's abrasive. He's difficult to work with. So a guy like that, you do not want talking to investigators. In court, you can control them. In an investigation, you can't. So that's bad for him. Now, the 2020 special, what a horrible job NBC did on the 2020 special. Are you kidding me? Was anything more biased than that? Here's the 5 main speakers they had. Therese Davis, she was the costume designer. Alec Baldwin friend. She was the one that Alec Baldwin shared her letter saying how everything was amazing on Russ. Devin Werkheiser, a young actor, good-looking guy, seemed like a good guy, but again, he's just happy to be there. Of course, he's going to be positive. Thomas Gandy, another very pro Alec Baldwin, pro set. Everything's copacetic. It was safe. We didn't work long hours, blah, blah, blah. He was pro Russ. Then they bring in Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's dad. Oh my God. So Daddy was totally on board with Hannah. She was safe. She's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Then they bring Hannah's lawyer. So these are 5 people, pro Alec Baldwin, pro Russ. Everything's fantastic. The lawyer's still saying there's sabotage. The DA just still laughs at that it was no sabotage. They did have Serge Spetnoy a couple times speaking. He was the one that was Hannah's friend that caught her, and he was the one that filed the first lawsuit. And Lane Looper, who was there a couple times, he spoke shortly a couple times because he was the one that his resignation letter became famous. Now, they said we only worked 12 hours, blah, blah, blah. ABC admitted that at 1:30 in the morning, one of the cameramen just got off. He went to the side of the road and fell asleep in his car. He didn't want to drive back an hour to go to his hotel. He has to be back to start at 6 o'clock filming. So these guys wanted a hotel close by. They asked, they said no. Then Alec Baldwin, he says in his interview with George Stephanopoulos, the next day I was going to give them an Airbnb out of my salary. What do you mean the next day? You couldn't give it to them then when they're exhausted? You couldn't at least say, hey, go to this trailer, go here, go to a hotel. My gosh. And then you don't even tell them you're going to go do it the next day. He said, when I came the next day, they were gone. I wanted to help them. Oh, man, that's ridiculous. The funniest thing was the end when they did Hannah's guest shot on a podcast saying, I didn't know if I was up to the job, but I did it, and it went smoothly, and everything was fine. Now I know I could do it. That was the job with Nick Cage where he wanted her fired. Some of the crew now, it's being even released that they wanted her fired. She would bring guns on set without warning people. How does that go smoothly, and how does ABC News let those comments go by without saying anything? Unbelievable. Then they went in and they did the story of Sarah Jones, very famous case, 27-year-old they were illegally shooting a movie there, Midnight Rider. The movie was about the Allman Brothers. William Hurt was in it. They did a weird bed dream scene on a train track, and they didn't get permission, but their arrogant, very arrogant director, Randall Miller, said, I'm doing it anyway. He has a history of that. He has a history of even taking stop signs out of streets, covering stop signs. This guy even brags about it when he speaks at places. It's unbelievable. This guy's a piece of work. She died when the train hit her. And what ended up happening is that Randall Miller was convicted to 2 years. He did a plea bargain because he didn't want his wife, who was the producer, to go to jail. So they did a plea bargain. He got 2 years in prison, 8 more years after that of probation. Another stipulation was that he could not direct or assistant director produce a movie. Everything's copacetic. He does only a year because that's what you do when you got a high-priced lawyer and you're a goody-goody in the jail. So he gets out. 4 years later, he does a movie. He directs a movie. I believe it was called Higher Ground. He directs a movie. Sarah's family goes nuts. Says he violated his parole, revoke his probation, and get him back in jail. After 2 years of litigation, the judge comes out and says, well, he didn't really violate his probation, but we'd rather him not direct any films for the rest of his probation. That's it. Unbelievable. High-priced lawyers are worth their weight in gold. Now, Alec Baldwin, we caught him in 2 lies. Remember, Florence and I are the only ones that said this. He's the one that stood over Helena after she got shot. He said he stood there for about a minute, 60 seconds, and he had no idea. He thought she fainted. He didn't know what happened, and he didn't find out she was shot until 45 minutes later. The special effects guy said the second he was in there right near Helena, I knew he shot her. Serge Spetnoy. She landed on me. Blood everywhere. Special effects guy also said he saw the bullet hole in her jacket. He also saw blood immediately gushing everywhere. The medic, who was outside the room, I believe, said that she heard the shot and immediately she knew something went wrong because it was so loud, and she knew it was a gunshot, and she knew something went bad. How in the world could everybody know it's a gunshot but Alec Baldwin? Second, he said he pulled back the hammer 3/4 of the way. He let it go, and it went off. Well, I watched 16 demonstrations. 16 demonstrations to see if that gun would go off. People did the same thing. The gun actually cocks halfway. It stops. People dropped it. People did everything. It wouldn't go off. Then they pulled the trigger somewhat lightly. Boom. It went off. This is the problem. Is Alec Baldwin, are you kidding me? If you're going to make up a lie, at least make up something better. That was a lie. Dutch Merrick, who was the person a famous armorer, he said flat out, you have to pull the trigger. Unless this gun is extremely damaged, you have to pull the trigger for it to go off. With that being said, many of you still say Alec Baldwin is going to go to jail. I don't think so. Look at the 1982 Twilight Zone movie. You lost a fine actor, Vic Morrow. You also, 2 kids die because a helicopter falls on them, and I don't want to talk about how they died. You want to know, you go on. But it was horrific. John Landis and these guys broke every law known to man, and they got off. No conviction. They just had to pay off civil suits. Randall Miller, irresponsible, breaks the law, does whatever he wants, films where he's not supposed to film. Young girl gets killed. 6 others are injured. He's making movies 4 years later. Are you kidding me? He's not. I just don't see him going to jail. You may be right. But I don't see it. When you get ultra rich, OJ's still walking around. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? There's so much injustice. We're seeing it now. You have people that are ultra rich, ultra powerful. They didn't even follow subpoenas. They get subpoenaed. They didn't show up. I was subpoenaed one time for a lawsuit that I was a witness in, and I did it. It was unbelievable. These guys were hounding me down at midnight at my house. And if I wouldn't show up, the sheriff contacted me and said, we will arrest you. You will be arrested. But when you got high-priced lawyers, Dave Halls, everyone else, whatever. Our justice system stinks. And I agree. You guys have turned my head. I agree. Every actor that doesn't check the guns is irresponsible. It's irresponsible with the gun, and it's irresponsible. And I know some of you have been on set and you say, that's not the way it's done. You don't understand. I don't care the way it's done. From this point on, check the dang gun. But I'm a control freak. I would not put my life in the hands of anyone else in regards to that. I wouldn't even be able to live with myself if I hurt someone like that. I would shake every bullet. I would look at every gun. I would every flashlight into every chamber. And that's what needs to happen. Personally, I want heads to roll with this. This was unacceptable. My gosh. But heads have never rolled in Hollywood with stuff like this. Well, this is some of the stuff that we found out. We hope you guys find it interesting. To us, we love your comments and some of your points of view. That's great. Some of you even have a good sense of humor. A couple jokes here and there are pretty funny. Like and subscribe. And please, Florence, Carmela, and I wish you all a very happy holiday season. Take care.